we agreed on week one that the basic thing in a business is the strategy. You need to formulate your strategy first, and then see what technologies will help you uh, 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 reach your vision or get your objectives done. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a very important concept in the enterprises, and this is going to help you if you go, whether you are accounting student or IS student or marketing student. This is going to help you understand the technology structure of the company, why the company technology looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to share another presentation with you guys. And we will talk about a very important thing about technology in business, right? So this is are the technologies. Now we focus on technologies in business. So come on, please. I'm sorry, these 2 weeks I'm talking too much, but I don't like talking too much in classes. But this is an introduction that I must uh, present to you. But after that, once we get into uh, weeks, maybe 4, 5, and so on, there will be lots of hands-on work and less talking by me. So I'm very sorry. I usually don't have long presentations, but this is just an introduction. So that's for a couple of weeks. Okay. Right. All right. So companies exist forever, right? So if you have a company that is already established and you are making money and everything looks green and nice in the future, why should you spend more money and uh, buy new technology that and implement this new technology, right? There are many reasons for this. There are many reasons. Some reasons are quite clear, and there are some reasons that are not that clear to you, but it has been shown to be true, right? The first thing is competition, right? If your competition is going to use, okay, now I want you to link what I will talk about now to our last week. So link this to our discussion of being able to analyze the external and internal environment and move your strategy accordingly, right? So the first two things that are related together is competition and getting competitive advantage, right? So if you are in a market and you are a retailer or you're working in the in agriculture, for example, right? And you are doing things the old ways. You are using the same equipment that have been used for tens of years and everything is going fine with you. And then your new technology shows up and your competition is using this technology. Okay. Now, this can impact you in the future. This can make your competitor get a competitive advantage over you and make more money over you and maybe throw you out of the market. We have seen this with Sears. We have seen this with Netflix when they bankrupted Blockbusters in early 2000s, right? So not early 2000, in the first 10 years of 2000. So technology can is important if your competition in the market is using newer technologies than you have to compete with them. You have to get the same technology or better technology. Otherwise, you are going to lose, right? Another very, let me show you if I have this.
Sorry, because you mentioned the new technologies,
Yeah.
and the metaverse thing. There's a special Oculus headset that's
Yeah.
been modified for the use of cows, And so like they've been finding out that like when cows are eating while like with this headset on, it like makes them produce more milk. It's kind of hysterical.
That's right. And there are other many uses of there are many applications of this kind. So right. So I think there is even a technology in Japan that was implemented in Japan with sensors to sense the best time for cows as well to mate in order to create a certain type of cows, males or females. They have this technology in Japan as well, right? It's huge. It's analytics based, right? So it's getting big, right? So technology is big, guys. So it's especially these days, it's very important to keep an eye on what's going on around you. Okay, so you can find very good opportunities in new technologies and uses of new technologies emerging. So the third reason of why we should get into, why a company would select to get into technology is this very important chart. Okay, research has shown that young people and young talents like you guys prefer to work in a high-tech company than a low-tech company, right? So if I am, even me, I'm not that old, but even me, if I get an option to work on Amazon or in some company that doesn't use technology, then I will choose Amazon, not just for the pay, but for the satisfaction of being at the top of technology, right? So this is research. So you can see that this is a chart that shows you why people would leave a company, right? And one of the biggest reasons of why employees would leave the company is the company does not provide opportunities to develop in a digital environment. So if the company is not keeping up to date with competition, then an employee, I want you to think about yourselves. What kind of companies do you prefer to work in? Okay. You will find that for VPs, I'm talking about senior people, people with lots of experience, they are 15 times at risk of leaving in 1 year if the company does not provide opportunities to develop in a digital environment, right? Because anyone with a sense of direction, with a sense of understanding of strategy, they know that if they stay in a company that is not up to date in technology, they are going to lose their personal competitive advantage. If in 5 years, if you go apply for another company and they find that you don't know, you haven't used up-to-date technology, this is going to be something against you, right? So it is always a good thing, right? So it is one of the it's one of the reasons a company decides to implement technology is to create a digital environment and retain the employees, especially young employees working in this company. Okay, so this is one of the reasons as well. Right. So what is the linkage? What is the link between strategy and IT in a company? Okay, the link is something called IT architecture. Okay, so what is IT architecture and why it is important, right? So if you look at this is an architecture of a city, right? Architecture of a city, this shows where the buildings are, where the infrastructure in the city is, the roads, parks, and so on. So it's an organization of the facilities in the city and the buildings in the city. Okay, IT architecture plays the same role. Okay, IT architecture shows the technologies that the company is using or is going to use and the relationship between these technologies, right? So we are going to use, for example, cloud computing. This block is cloud computing, and we are going to use blockchain applications. So how do we link cloud computing with blockchains? How can we use cloud computing for blockchain? We are going to use analytics. How we are going to link analytics with blockchain and cloud computing, and so on. So an IT architecture is a collection or a mapping of all the technologies that is used by the company, that are used by the company, and the relationships between these technologies. Okay. IT architecture is very important because without IT architecture, every technology will be working independently, and therefore you won't get full benefits of the integration of these systems. Okay. So again, an IT architecture is the collection of systems that are used by the company and how these systems are connected together, or how these technologies more generally are connected together, how they work together to serve the mission of the company. Okay. All right. Now, if you look at a company today, any company, like let's look at CSUMB, for example. This is the company that all of us know. It's not a company, but it's an organization. If you look at the IT architecture of CSUMB, you will see things like Canvas, right? We have first, before Canvas, we have the website of CSUMB, right? And we have different systems. We have Canvas, we have Oasis, we have the library, we have many systems inside the student organizations and so on. We have many organizations within CSUMB. If these organizations are not linked together, if these systems are not linked together, then you will need to log in independently into Oasis. For me, for example, I am a teacher and I want to input your grades. Okay, so the main system I use for your grades is Canvas. So I need to enter your names in Canvas and enter your grades in Canvas, right? And then I move to Oasis and start entering your names again and your grades again. So this is too time consuming, and this is very problematic because I can make mistakes. If I manually move your names and grades from Canvas to Oasis, this is going to take time from me. And if I put the wrong student ID or wrong student name, then I will fail you when you deserve an A+, right? So what happens is in CSUMB, all of these systems are integrated together, right? So the data from Oasis is transformed into Canvas, right? And the other way around, the information in Canvas, the grading information is moved into Oasis, and so on and so forth, right? So there is integration, there is an architecture, there is a connection between these systems, okay? However, this wasn't always the case. So when IT started in 1970s or so, there was no integration between the systems. We used an architecture called silos. Okay, silo. If you know what silos are, silos. Let me show you. Silos. Okay. So silos, you can see that silos are storage units for grains and for products that are not connected together. So this is a silo, another silo. There is no connection between them, right? So this was the original architecture used in IT. Each department or each unit in the organization had its own system, completely independent from the other systems. Okay, they were not working together. So if you want to move information from one system, let's say from the sales department to the accounting department, you had to print all the data and then send it physically to the accounting department where they re-enter the data from the beginning. Imagine the amount of errors that could happen, right? Re-entering everything can result in many problems and many mistakes, right? So after silos, we moved into standardized infrastructure. Standardized infrastructure means we still, each department is still independent. So the accounting department has its own system. The finance department has its own system. The sales department has its own system, but they are standardized. Standardized mean they use the same structure for data, right? So I can move the data, I can get my data on a disk and pass it on to other system, okay? So this decreases the error. The errors are still there. We still have to spend time moving data manually from one system to the other, but the errors are less and the cost is less because now there's a standard for everyone to follow, okay? After that, we went to something called rationalized data. Rationalized data means sharing data between the applications. So this is what we currently have at CSUMB. We can share data between different applications, okay? And finally, we have modular architecture. Modular architecture means we have one system, and if we need a new component of this system, we just plug it in. So, for example, I will show you, we'll talk about that towards the end of this course. If we are working in a company and we want to manage the finance of this company, the sales, the marketing, the purchasing, the manufacturing in the company, then we have a system with several components. If I want to manage the accounting, I insert a component for accounting. If I want to manage sales, I insert a component for sales, and they work together seamlessly. Okay. Okay. So I will stop here now. I won't go any further. Okay. I have spoken